Okay, so today I wanted to do a video about the American educational system and how I believe, well, the effect that I believe that it has on society, and also how it's a reflection of our culture, which unfortunately I don't think places a very high priority on truth or knowledge, especially nowadays. And I think that's, it's a sad thing. I want to start out by saying that the school district that I was in from first grade until 10th grade was, despite being in the state of South Carolina, which is not well known for having quality education, to say the least, the school district that I was in was one of the top 5 districts in the state, and as a result I feel that I got a better education during those years than a lot of people in my state did, and I probably would be fair to say better than a lot of kids around the country get, especially nowadays, because I really think that academic standards have fallen since I was in school, and I don't think that they were particularly high or wonderful then. But anyway, I was able to, I guess, appreciate my education more when I was moved to a different school district for 11th and 12th grade. And basically it was like going back a couple of grades in school as far as the material that they were covering relative to what I was used to. So I went from struggling to make C's and B's and sometimes D's to being able to make straight A's and not having to put nearly as much effort into it. So it really sort of woke me up to the fact, I guess, that a lot of kids weren't getting as good an education as I did, and sadly most of them weren't even aware of the poor quality of education that they were getting, and just assumed that because their grades were good that they were actually getting an education. But sad to say that that was not always the case. So I saw the movie Idiocracy a couple of years ago, and it really made me think about the direction that American society is going in terms of education and just overall cultural respect for education and truth-seeking and knowledge. And it was really a very depressing movie, but at the same time it was nice to see that there were other people out there, obviously whoever made the movie, other people out there who had similar concerns about our culture and the level to which we're being dumbed down. So if you haven't seen that movie, I would encourage you to see it, because even though it's, I guess, sort of crass and simplistic, maybe than a lot of, or more so than maybe a lot of movies, I think that it has a very important point to it that they sort of beat you over the head with if you pay any attention. I honestly think that our media, unfortunately, panders to the lowest common denominator in society, so that, what's dominating our headlines is, Arnold Schwarzenegger having a child out of wedlock, rather than, the fact that, what's going on in the third world, for example, the poverty, or, for that matter, the increasing poverty in the United States. To me, that's something that should be dominating our media, and people should be getting up in arms about that and really getting concerned about that. But instead, a lot of our media is just sort of escapist and I don't know, it's sick, and I understand why it is that way, because, you know, media is just big business, and obviously the people that are really wealthy in American society and getting wealthier don't really have an incentive to have people be educated about what's going on. It's advantageous to them for people to pay attention to celebrities and other things that aren't really that relevant to their day-to-day life. But I think that it's something, well, and I think that a lot of people are recognizing that and are turned off by mainstream media. But I don't know, I just wish that more and more people would get angry about it and actually, you know, maybe start their own, you know, their own papers and their own media to try and get the truth out there and to try to get messages out there that are more relevant and more geared toward actually educating people and encouraging them to think and reason. So I really think that our public education system, the way it's set up now, especially the No Child Left Behind Act, and the fact that more and more educators are having to, especially in public education, they're having to teach toward standardized testing rather than teaching fundamentals like, you know, logic and reason. And unfortunately, a lot of school districts are figuring out ways to beat the system too, and to, you know, get monies to, you know, to inflate their test scores in order to get more money. And I think that's a problem because, you know, their test scores may be improving, but that doesn't necessarily mean that children are being better educated or that they're going to be more likely to engage in the sort of independent thought that our society depends upon in order to get better. And also, I think another problem in America is that a college education has, you know, increased ninefold since I was born, basically, and I was born about, you know, 35 years ago. So basically, it's putting higher education more and more out of the reach of common working class, everyday American people, and more it's just something that rich people get to do, or if, you know, people, middle class or poor people do it, they're going to end up being in a lot of debt for many years or maybe even the rest of their lives. And it's really a shame that it is that way. And I think that we should be more concerned about that rather than, you know, who ex-governors are sleeping with, or, you know, royals getting married over in England and all the other irrelevant bullshit that our media covers for hours and hours and hours, and while these real problems don't get a lot of airtime. I think, unfortunately, the fact that most teachers in our public education systems are female, I think, unfortunately, that tells us some unfortunate things about the teaching profession, especially with regard to public education. I think, unfortunately, it means that our children are being socialized to sort of go along with the program and not question things that they should be questioning. I think, you know, I love men and I love women, and I I don't really want to make negative aspersions toward either one of them. I think they both have, fine qualities, and certainly individuals, regardless of gender, are capable of many wonderful things. But I do think there is a tendency in women to be more submissive and less likely to engage in independent thinking. And so the fact that a majority of teachers are female tells me that, maybe our children are being, well, I guess that it would be more that they're probably not being encouraged to think as independently as they would be if there were more male teachers, or if it was 50-50. And I think that's just an unfortunate reality. And I'm certainly not saying that all female teachers are mindless lackeys, just serving the system. That's certainly not true. But I think, unfortunately, dissidents of any type are in the minority, and I think certainly dissidents are people who think outside the box. I think they're probably more likely to be male than they are female. And also, I think the fact that more women are in education shows that it's not a very high priority in society at all, and therefore we're not paying teachers as high a wage as they can earn in the private sector. And I think that since men tend to be more motivated by financial gain, because they're seen to be, still in this day and age, they're still seen to primarily be the breadwinners more so than women. The fact that more men don't go into education, I think, shows that it's not a very well-paid profession, and therefore we're not necessarily getting the best and the brightest to educate our children, but more the people that are sort of willing to settle for kind of a bum rap deal. And I think, unfortunately, women I won't say unfortunately, I think it's a good thing that women aren't as motivated by financial gain as men are. I think it certainly can be a good thing. But, also I think the fact that that's true does indicate a lack of priority given to education. And I think because of that, our society keeps getting more dumbed down and more dumbed down, and our educational system just keeps getting worse overall. So I think that was all the points that I wanted to make about the educational system in America. I would encourage anyone out there who has children to encourage your children to educate themselves and not let their disgust maybe for the school curriculum, which granted can be very grinding and repetitive and boring, to not let that discourage you from reading, discourage you from launching your own investigations into whatever it is that interests you and sparks your imagination and helps you get out of bed in the morning. I think that we just need to get away from this anti-education culture that we have. I think a lot of people just don't think that it's cool to read, and And, you know, that's really a sad indictment of our society, and you can understand why things are so messed up and getting more messed up every day when people have those kinds of attitudes and nobody really calls them on it enough anyway. So, if you have kids, you know, encourage them to fight the system and do their own investigative reading, and also adults out there, you know, whatever interests you, go out and educate yourself, you know, get a library card, check some books out of the library, you know, go to bookstores, go to the, you know, go online. There's a lot of information available online that you can read through, and really don't just sit back and be a couch potato and be satisfied with what passes for news these days. And, you know, don't sell yourself short. And also remember that there are plenty of men historically and women that have been very well educated without the benefit of a college education. So, thank you, and have a great day.